FPL is back in Game Week 30, certainly delivered, but in today's video, I'm going to help you identify the best players for Game Week 31 and to target the double Game Week 34 and potential future doubles coming up in the game. Before we get into today's video, I just want to say that we're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers on the channel, so if you do want to help us hit that goal, be sure to like, comment, and of course the main one being subscribe to help us achieve that goal by the end of the season. Before we go and take a look at any players for this game week, I thought it would be important to kind of know the landscape of FPL at the moment and which teams we should be potentially targeting, because it is very dependent on certain doubles, blanks, and of course your chip strategy as well. So obviously the next kind of big game week to talk about is game week 34. As you can see, we've got some teams doubling, we've got Tottenham blanking, and we've got some teams that have pretty miserable fixtures during that run. Personally, for me and my strategy, I'm going to be free hitting, so this game week for me doesn't really matter. So my players that have fixtures in this week, I don't have to worry about too much. But obviously if you're not free hitting, then you probably want to start to potentially looking to bring in these players that do have positive fixtures leading up to game week 34 or that potential double game week 34. If you're like me and you've got the free hit in hand, you're probably looking at players like from Chelsea, from Tottenham, these teams that are obviously, you know, they've got pretty okay-ish fixtures going into game week 34. Then after it, they are going to have at least 2 double game weeks within the space of 3 game weeks. So that is very good, something you want to be looking to target in. So I just thought I'd make it kind of apparent and clear. This is obviously where you want to be looking. This is where you want to be targeting as well. Obviously, this is from Ben Krellin's spreadsheet. As always, there will be a link to that in the description. He is the mastermind of all these kind of fixture predictions, so go and give him a follow on Twitter. Like I said, he is the genius behind all this kind of planning that, you know, goes on in the FPL community. Without him, we would be lost, so go and give him support. But like I said, this I feel is a kind of a crucial kind of asset in your toolbox, especially if you're trying to beat your mates in your mini league. So if you do want to take a screenshot of it, do so, because this is going to help you plan which weeks you probably want to be free hitting, bench boosting, wildcarding, all that good stuff, or depending on transfers, which players you want to be looking to bring in. So like I said, if you're not on the free hit for 34, maybe a dead ending and wildcarding out in 35, you want to be looking to get players in for that double. If like me, you're on the free hit strategy, then you're probably looking for more players that have good fixtures up until that point, and 35, 36, and 37. But that's enough waffle. Let's go and take a look at some players. Starting off, the first player we're going to talk about is one of the many stars in the early kickoff today. It is Alexander Isak. I had him in my own team, so I'm very, very happy with this. I obviously did wildcard this week. I went and got Isak, mainly down to kind of the more longer term fixtures for Newcastle with that double in 37. And like I said, me being on the free hit strategy of 34. But you know what? I still think there's plenty of potential here to potentially jump on him nice and early. Very low ownership at the moment as well. Got me super rank gains, and I definitely think he is a player that can continue to deliver. Now, obviously, one of the main crux of him is the fact that he's very injury prone. Newcastle as well are picking up a lot of injuries. I think the suspension to Anthony Gordon as well is going to be huge in terms of creativity. He won 2 penalties, also picked up an assist for Harvey Barnes, winner of the game as well. So, you know, there's a lot in there that, you know, maybe he's not going to do as well against Everton, because obviously like the likes of the creative players, Almiron going off injured as well, defensive injuries as well. Newcastle probably were a little bit fortunate to get the win today, but you know, that is just something to potentially factor in with the Alexander Isak kind of decision. He also is quite an injury-prone player. There's a lot of games coming up in quick succession over the next few weeks as well. Everton and Fulham obviously both played this week. Game week 31 is a Tuesday deadline, and game week 32 is a Saturday deadline. So a very, very quick turnaround for Newcastle United over the next few. A player who is just coming back from a longer term injury as well. He does always seem to pick up injuries, which is his big concern. But when he is fit and available, he is an absolute bagsman. He's on penalties as well, which is, you know, an asset that I absolutely love to go and target. And Everton in game week 31, they haven't won in their past 12 Premier League games. They've equalled a Premier League record for their club, I think, since 19 94 or something absolutely ridiculous. So they are on a miserable run at the moment. You know, you imagine this Newcastle side, they are a little bit weakened with suspension, with injuries, but the likes of Isak probably should be feasting against a low kind of confidence side in Everton on Tuesday or Wednesday night, whenever their game is. But like I said, there is a lot of positives, there is a lot of negatives to this. I think if you are on the free hit 34 strategy, I think Alexander Isak makes complete sense to me. If you're looking to wildcard as well this week, he probably would be one of the top players I would be looking to go and get. Let me know what you think about Isak in the comment section, but I think he is a great pickup for this game week. Moving on to arguably one of the best cheap assets in the entire FPL history. You know, it's got to be Cole Palmer. I think he's up there. You know, I wanted to put him in here. Yes, he is quite a high-owned player. Yes, there are some potential issues with the Chelsea fixtures and their overall results as a team as well. But I do think he is definitely worth investing in, especially with the potential 2 back-to-back or even, you know, 1, then a blank, then the kind of game weeks coming up for Chelsea in 35, 36 or 37, especially if you're on the free hit strategy like myself, because you will be, you know, removing him for that Arsenal game. Up until that game, I definitely think there are like positive fixtures as well leading into that. They've played Manchester United, Sheffield United and Everton. The graphic is wrong, but the colours are right. I just didn't change the teams around. But it's Manchester United, Sheffield United and Everton. Now, the interesting thing for me with Cole Palmer as well is not only I think he's an absolute must to go and buy, because every single week he seems to be absolutely slapping it, especially if you're on the wild card for game week 31. He is an absolute must and a fantastic enabler at 5.8 million. He is Chelsea's leading man, takes all the penalties as well, which is a great asset to have in the game, as we've already spoke about with Isak. But for me, I think he's now starting to put himself in contention to be, you know, worthy of the captaincy. I think I spoke about this with Jake in the preview stream. If you've never been to one of them, they're usually on Wednesday or Tuesday night. We have one coming up for game week 31 on Monday night. So if you do want to come along to that, ask any questions. We will be live then at 7 o'clock. So do come along to that if you do need some help and, you know, maybe just some general kind of laughter as well. But I spoke to him in the stream and I suggested, you know, Cole Palmer seems to be one of these players where I think we've got to look past that price point. I think we've got this kind of fixation or maybe this mindset around his price point that we just think he's not going to justify, you know, putting the armband on him. But in reality, we should be seeing this guy as maybe like an 8, 9 million, even 10 million player. He's now got 20 goal contributions for Chelsea in his first season for the club as well. So I think we've got to kind of shift away from that mentality, start seeing this guy as a 9, 10 million pound player, and not be afraid to throw the armband on him. We saw what he could do today. 2 goals for him as well. Jake, like I said in the preview stream, listened to my advice, swapped out Son, did go with Palmer, so it's worked out for him, and it's probably going to work out for a lot of other people coming up as well. Probably not the Manchester United fixture, with Arsenal having Luton and Liverpool having Sheffield United. Probably just worth having him and not obviously captaining him. But then after that, they've got Sheffield United and Everton, and I think those are both excellent fixtures to be going targeting Cole Palmer with the armband for. Let me know what you think about Cole Palmer. If you've not got him, what are you doing? How are you going to get him back or potentially go and get him in for the first time this season? And if you have got him, are you potentially considering captaining him for the future game weeks? And finishing up today's video, I thought we would take a look at the best striker options in the game, outside, of course, of Erling Haaland. A lot of people are going to be hitting that wildcard button in game week 31. Maybe if you're not as well, you are looking at some of these striker options, because a lot of them starting to pick up some very, very good kind of point scorings and all that good stuff. Maybe offering themselves up as captain, you know, potential. A lot of them with double game weeks coming up, you know. So I thought we'd take a look at some of the best options for you and your wildcard, or if you're just looking for some free transfers this week. Obviously, Isak we spoke about in length, but I wanted to include him on this list as well. Like for me, I think he's probably up there as one of the top picks if you are free hitting in 34 or maybe wildcarding in 35. He, for me, is an excellent asset to go for. Double game week coming up, some pretty strong fixtures as well for Newcastle as well. You'd probably argue they have one of the nicest fixture runs up until the end of the season. They showed a lot of spirit and kind of team togetherness today in today's performance. So hopefully they can kind of negate these injuries and suspensions and just kick on, and hopefully Isak can be the man. But I don't want to waste any more time on him. We've kind of done a whole section on him. Dominic Solanke. Now, this is an interesting one. For me, if I was wildcarding this week and I don't potentially have that free hit in 34, or maybe looking for a transfer this week, I think Dominic Solanke would be up there as one of the top candidates. Like I said, if I didn't have the free hit in 34. Only 19 points scored over the past 5 game weeks, but I think we do have to factor in that game where he obviously missed the penalty and came away with 0. He very easily could have got 2 goals in that game. He puts the penalty away and gets that goal that was controversially ruled out, put in. You know, there's another 2 goals to this list. Obviously, the past 5 game weeks do look a little bit skewed with blank game week 29 obviously taking place as well. So there are a little bit of kind of limiting factors looking at the kind of last 5 data. But for me, Dominic Solanke, some very strong fixtures coming up. Crystal Palace next, then Luton. Manchester United, you know, Bournemouth beat them at Old Trafford earlier this season. So what's to stopping them from doing it again? Then they have a double of Aston Villa and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Not the easiest of double. Both teams pretty good at home so far this season as well. So not the easiest of double, but still a double nevertheless. Some strong fixtures going into it. And Brighton in game week 35 as well. Game week 37, Brentford. So definitely one player that you potentially could hold during that time period as well. So for me, Dominic Solanke, like I said, if you've not got the free hit in 34, I think he would be a great shout to go and pick up. Moving on to Darwin Núñez. Now, obviously, Liverpool are yet to play this game week, so I can't really comment on him. Obviously, there were a few doubts about his potential injury, but it looks like Klopp's kind of ruled them out. But just make sure he is playing in tomorrow's game. Make sure he, you know, actually features against Brighton before potentially bringing him in. But they do play Sheffield United, the worst team in the Premier League. There's no kind of way around it. They nearly went 4-1 up against Fulham, but somehow still managed to bottle it. So, you know, not the best team. And you imagine a top quality attacking side like Liverpool, they're probably going to be doing some feasting. Again, I think if I was on a wild card or maybe didn't have that free hit chip in hand, I think he probably would be one of the players that I would look to go for. Like I said, Sheffield United, Manchester United, then Crystal Palace, then a double of Fulham and Everton. Really, really strong double. Game week 35, West Ham. I'm only concerned with the likes of Darwin Núñez and potentially another player we're going to come on to talk about is this European football run that both, Darwin and Watkins will be on. Europa Conference League and Europa League. We might see with Liverpool a little bit of potential rotation, obviously with Gakpo as well. Darwin does seem like one of those players that very much could miss out on some Premier League games or see potentially reduced minutes. So that is my only concern with him. He is a little bit of a troll as well in the game, so get yourself ready if you are preparing to bring him into your side. But at the same day, he can produce some moments of magic. Right, speaking of magic, let's move on to Núñez. That was a nice bit of alliteration there. I'm just gonna point that one out, but that was brilliant from me. Núñez, he's killing it. The past 5 game weeks, 4 goals, 1 assist. He's in his purple patch. I think the confidence has been shown from Fulham. Obviously, they paid that 4 million fee for Brozier just to go and sit on the bench so they could play this guy. That's how confident they are in his ability at the moment. 34 points scored. He is the highest scoring forward over the past 5 game weeks. 3.15 goal involvement again. Scored today against Sheffield United. Now, the fixtures for Fulham, they're not as good, but I think the price point he is making him a lot better of an option. 4.7 million is an absolute steal for a quality player like him at the moment. The fixtures, they are a little bit hit and miss. No double game weeks either coming up for Fulham, but I think if you're looking for potentially a budget enabler on the wild card that allows you to potentially go and get some top quality players in, I think Núñez could be a very, very decent shout. But, you know, it is all dependent on your shirt and chip strategy. For me personally, I think there are better forwards out there. But for his price, he is arguably the best player under, I'd probably say, 6 million at the moment. Is Núñez absolutely killing it. Purple patch, but how long does this continue? No double game weeks coming up for him. And some pretty difficult fixtures kind of spotted around in there for Fulham as well. Potentially could be a little bit of a trap, I do feel. But for his price, I think he should be an okay pick. Now, this last one is controversial, right? It's Ollie Watkins. Now, they've got City up next. They've got Arsenal in 33. There's no other potential doubles coming round the corner for Aston Villa either. So for me personally, I got rid of Watkins. Now, I am filming this in the first half of the Wolves-Villa game. It's currently 0-0. No goals have taken place. Ollie Watkins hasn't been involved, but it wouldn't surprise me if he was, because he is having the season of his life. He is going to finish as one of the best, highest scoring non-premium assets in FPL history. That's just what's going to happen this season. It's going to happen. He is going to score goals throughout the course of this run. But I think where we're going to make it up is in the double game weeks, is with him potentially seeing some rotation during European football, and for the difficult fixtures coming up for Aston Villa. Sometimes you do have to put these good players to the side and hope that they do blank sometimes, and hope that the double game week players do obviously have a better kind of attacking return. But like I said, City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, some pretty solid fixtures coming up there for Aston Villa and for Watkins. And if you throw Europa Conference League rotation in the mix as well, I think he potentially could be a player you might actually want to not have if you were wildcarding for game week 34. And if you're potentially looking for a striker replacement, maybe you want to go get Isak in this week, Watkins could be that player that you go and sell. But like I said, I am filming this before the Wolves game has finished, so if he does go and score, please don't come for me in the comments. That's all I'm going to say on that one. Thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, if you have enjoyed any of the content that you've seen on the channel, maybe that's a stream, maybe that's a video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Like I said, we are trying to hit 5,000 subscribers on the channel. But thank you very much from me, and in good luck this game week. We got there in the end. Good luck this game week.